$182,000 a year. That is what the average blue-collar household is quietly hauling in right now. Not a tech monopoly, not an inheritance scam, a real, unassuming town where regular people out-earn Wall Street analysts. The mainstream media doesn't want you to look at these 10 hidden Canadian boomtowns because once this video spreads, the real estate window slams shut forever. While you are draining your life savings just to survive the soul-crushing housing markets of Toronto or Vancouver, these overlooked enclaves are quietly minting everyday millionaires over a single weekend. But beneath the surface lies a chaotic cocktail of exploding costs, weird local laws, and a town where you can get cornered by wildlife on your morning walk. One has a median home price lower than a used truck. Another threw the last family who moved there an actual parade. And number one changes everything. Choosing wrong could cost you 10 years of savings. Subscribe because choosing wrong here costs thousands. Let's break it down. Number 10, Whistler, British Columbia. Whistler is the kind of town where world-class Olympic ski slopes and a full-blown worker housing crisis exist on the exact same block. Tucked away in the rugged coast mountains, this legendary resort hub of 14,000 residents is the ultimate final destination on our list. On the surface, it's all breathtaking alpine peaks, high-end chalets, and a buzzing international atmosphere that smells like expensive goggle fog, fresh powder, and ungodly amounts of tourist cash. Let's look at the brutal numbers. The average household net worth sales passed $1.2 million, while the median single-family home price hovers at an astronomical $2.1 million. Average rent for a simple apartment sits around $3,200. Sounds like a total winter wonderland dream, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The housing market is so aggressively cooked that seasonal workers are quite literally sharing single bedrooms or living out of winterized camper vans in parking lots just to survive. As one local bluntly put it online, you'll see multimillionaires dining on caviar right next to a world-class ski instructor who is secretly sleeping in a tricked-out Honda Civic. So, what's the actual price of paradise? You get access to the best skiing on earth, but you trade away any hope of a normal, affordable lifestyle. Okay, can we talk about the local grocery stores for a sec? Buying a basic week of groceries here feels like taking out a second mortgage just to afford some avocados and bread. Imagine this. It's a flawless, bluebird morning. The mountain air is perfectly crisp, and you smell fresh pine. Then reality hits when your shift ends, and you have to crawl back into a shared bunk bed in a crowded staff house with 6 other people. Hey, at least in Oak Bay you could sleep in peace behind a quiet tweed curtain. Whistler gives you an adrenaline rush but forces you into extreme survival mode just to keep your spot on the mountain. Number 9. Oak Bay, British Columbia. Oak Bay is the kind of town where pristine, multi-million-dollar Edwardian estates and a borderline aggressive obsession with manicured rose bushes exist on the exact same block. Snuggled tightly against the scenic coastline of Vancouver Island, this affluent enclave of 18,000 people is Canada's ultimate haven for hyper-concentrated luxury. On the surface, it's all rugged ocean views, elite yacht clubs, and a polite, old-money atmosphere that smells like high-end tweed, expensive afternoon tea, and massive inheritance packages. Let's look at the numbers. The average household net worth sails beautifully past $2 million, and the local benchmark home price demands a breathtaking $1,850,000. Average rent sits heavily at $2,400, reflecting the extreme premium of the area. Sounds like an absolute oceanside paradise, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The local demographic skews so hilariously old that the town is affectionately nicknamed Behind the Tweed Curtain, and trying to pass any modern zoning or nightlife initiatives is a flat-out impossibility. As one frustrated resident noted, it's jaw-droppingly gorgeous, but if your property's hedge grows half an inch past the municipal limit, your neighbors will literally call a town council emergency meeting. So, what's the actual price of perfection? You get an elite, world-class coastal estate, but you trade away even a single ounce of youthful energy. Okay, can we talk about the local speed limits for a sec? Driving here feels like moving through molasses because everyone cruises at a leisurely 15 kilometers an hour in a pristine vintage Jaguar. Imagine this. It's a spectacular, sun-drenched morning. Waves crash gently against the rocky shore, and you smell fresh ocean salt. Then reality hits when you realize it's only 7:30 p.m. The entire municipality has already gone completely dark for the night, and you have to sneak out of town just to find an open convenience store. Hey, at least Weyburn had cheap real estate to compensate for its quiet evenings. Oak Bay demands a multi-million-dollar buy-in just to live in Canada's most beautiful retirement community. Number 8. Rothesay, New Brunswick. Rothesay is the kind of town where historic, multi-million-dollar Tudor mansions and sleepy maritime charm exist on the exact same block. Tucked away along the beautiful Kitimat River, this exclusive enclave of 12,000 people is Atlantic Canada's best-kept financial secret. On the surface, it's all tree-lined avenues, elite private schools, and the kind of quiet, multi-generational wealth that dresses in understated vintage wool and doesn't like to show off. Let's break it down. While the average household net worth proudly touches $1 million, the median home price is an unbelievably low $475,000. Rent averages just $1,450, and the cost of living sits 10% below the national average. Sounds like an absolute fairy tale, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The old money social circles can feel notoriously frosty to outsiders, and strict zoning laws aggressively block any fun new commercial developments. As one Redditor brutally put it, it's beautiful, but if you didn't go to the local prep school or your last name isn't in the historic directory, expect to feel like a tourist for the first 5 years. So, what's the emotional cost of affordability? You get jaw-dropping historic estates for pennies, but you trade away a vibrant, modern social scene. Okay, can we talk about the coffee options for a sec? If you want a specialized, third-wave espresso after 4 p.m., your options basically drop to brewing it yourself or crying in a Tim Hortons parking lot. Picture this. It's early evening, a thick, romantic Atlantic fog rolls over the river, and you smell crisp autumn leaves. Then reality hits when you realize the entire town has completely shut down for the night, and your neighbors are busy whispering about your lawn height. Hey, at least Whitchurch-Stouffville had modern strip malls and 24-hour options to go with its multi-million-dollar price tags. Rothesay gives you a mansion but forces you to make your own fun. Number 7. Whitchurch-Stouffville, Ontario. This is the kind of town where quiet cornfields and sprawling, master-planned suburban McMansions collide on the exact same block. Sitting right on the northeastern edge of the Greater Toronto Area, this booming municipality of 51,000 people is growing faster than your credit card debt. On the surface, it's all charming Main Street storefronts, pristine golf courses, and the kind of manicured suburban landscape that smells like freshly cut grass and high property taxes. Here's what you're working with. The average household net worth has crossed an incredible $2.41 million. Median home prices demand a steep $1,250,000, and average rent hits $2,550. Crime is virtually non-existent, making it incredibly safe. Sounds like a total dream, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The morning commuter traffic is an absolute soul-crushing nightmare, and the town is rapidly losing its historic identity to copy-paste strip malls. As one local posted, "My parents bought a farmhouse here in the 90s for nothing, and last year a developer knocked on the door and offered the millions cash just to bulldoze it." So, what's the actual price of admission? You get an incredible real estate investment, but you spend your life trapped in gridlock. Okay, can we talk about the drivers for a sec? Navigating these newly widened roads feels like entering the Indy 500, except everyone is driving an aggressive luxury SUV while sipping a latte. Imagine this. It's a sunny morning, you look out at a beautiful protected green space, and you smell fresh coffee. Then reality hits when you pull out of your driveway and immediately hit a dead stop of bumper-to-bumper traffic trying to reach the highway. Hey, at least in Kitimat you could buy a house for under $500,000. Stouffville demands millions just to sit in traffic with everyone else. Number 6. Kitimat, British Columbia. Deep in northern BC, you can find a massive multi-billion-dollar industrial boomtown and a total lack of a nightlife scene on the exact same block. Tucked away at the end of a dramatic coastal fjord, this isolated enclave of 8,500 people is currently ground zero for Canada's largest private infrastructure project. On the surface, it's all rugged coastal mountains, heavy-duty work trucks, and the kind of intense, muddy blue-collar energy that smells like pure industrial money. Let's break it down. Median home prices sit at a highly accessible $410,000, while average rent clocks in around $1,950. Your dollar goes incredibly far here because local wages are heavily padded by massive energy companies. Sounds like a total financial dream, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The coastal rain is absolutely relentless. The town is heavily populated by transient camp workers, and if you need specialized shopping, prepare for a long trek. As one Redditor brutally put it, property values doubled almost instantly when construction peaked. Locals who bought early are sitting on absolute fortunes, but there's still nowhere good to eat. So, what's the real trade-off? You get an absolute real estate jackpot, but you spend your weekends staring at gray, rainy skies. Okay, can we talk about the food options for a sec? If you don't feel like eating at a standard pub or a fast food chain, your culinary options drop to zero real quick. Imagine this. It's early morning, a heavy, damp fog blankets the coastal wilderness, and you smell fresh rain on gravel. Then reality hits when you look at your bank account, realize you're technically rich, but remember the closest major clothing store is a 4-hour drive away. Hey, at least Canmore had organic juice bars to go with its astronomical prices. Kitimat just gives you high wages and high-vis jackets. Number 5. Canmore, Alberta. Canmore has jaw-dropping mountain peaks and a devastating housing crisis. Same town, same zip code. Make it make sense. Framed by the towering Rocky Mountains right next to Banff, this former coal mining hub of 16,000 people has exploded into a premier playground for wealthy tech nomads and remote executives. On the surface, it's all organic juice bars, multi-million-dollar alpine chalets, and the kind of aggressive mountain fitness that makes you feel lazy just for breathing. Let's break it down. Average household net worth has skyrocketed to $1.44 million. Median home prices demand $920,000, and average rent will bleed you $2,600 a month. Sounds like a mountain dream, right? But here's what nobody tells you. Local businesses are suffocating because hospitality staff are completely priced out, and the town is utterly gridlocked by tourists every single weekend. As one local posted, we have people living in tricked-out Sprinter vans who make six figures because they literally cannot find an apartment to lease. So, what's the real trade-off? You get world-class outdoor adventure at your doorstep, but you trade away your patience to endless weekend crowds. Okay, can we talk about the grocery stores for a sec? Trying to buy a loaf of bread on a Saturday afternoon feels like fighting for your life in a crowded stadium. Picture it. It's a peaceful morning, a crisp mountain breeze is blowing, and you smell fresh espresso. Then reality hits when you step outside and have to dodge a literal 800-pound elk blocking the sidewalk. At least in King, Ontario, you only had to worry about bad Wi-Fi, not getting aggressively cornered by wildlife on your way to work. All right, be honest. Could you handle living with the elk in Canmore if it meant building a massive net worth, or are you holding out for the coastal spots later in our list? Drop a comment below right now with your choice. I respond to every single person who comments in the first 24 hours. Number 4. King, Ontario. King is the kind of town where elite horse stables and ultra-wealthy tech CEOs wearing muddy rubber boots exist on the exact same block. Tucked away just north of Vaughan, this rolling pastoral landscape of 27,000 people is the ultimate rural escape for Toronto's corporate aristocracy. On the surface, it's all historic country charm, sprawling private estates, and the kind of quiet luxury that smells like artisanal cheese and high-end equestrian gear. Here's what you're working with. The average household net worth sits comfortably at $2.79 million. Median home prices will set you back $1,900,000, and rent averages $2,900. Crime is virtually non-existent. Sounds like a total dream, right? But here's what nobody tells you. There is absolutely zero walkability, local infrastructure is incredibly slow, and your multi-million-dollar estate will still struggle with dial-up internet speeds. As one Redditor brutally put it, good luck trying to get an Uber out here past 8 p.m. unless you want to pay a driver double to come up from the city. So, what's the real trade-off? You get beautiful, gate-protected countryside peace, but you spend your life driving 15 minutes just for milk. Okay, can we talk about the Wi-Fi for a sec? Trying to stream a movie out here feels like waiting for a carrier pigeon to return with your data packets. Picture this. It's early morning, a beautiful mist hangs over your private pond, and you smell fresh rain on pine needles. Then reality hits when your Zoom call drops for the fourth time because a tractor drove past your satellite dish. Hey, at least West Vancouver had ocean views to look at while their houses sat completely empty. King just gives you expensive dial-up. Number 3. West Vancouver, British Columbia. You can look at a decaying, moldy mid-century shack in West Vancouver for $4 million. Yes, really. No, it's not a scam. Perched directly on the cliffs overlooking the Pacific, this ultra-elite enclave of 44,000 people is Canada's undisputed heavyweight champion of old money. On the surface, it's all flawless ocean views, glass-walled architectural masterpieces, and a kind of wealth that doesn't just talk. It whispers in a British accent. Here's what you're working with. The average household net worth is an astronomical $4.45 million. Median home prices laugh at your budget at $3,100,000, and rent hits in painful $3,800. Violent crime is basically a myth. Sounds like paradise, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The local NIMBYism is so aggressive that residents protest basic sidewalks, and heavy speculation taxes leave half the megamansions sitting completely empty. As one local posted, walking my dog at night feels like an episode of The Twilight Zone, blocks of dark, empty ghost houses where nobody actually lives. So, what's the emotional cost? You get breathtaking coastal prestige, but you live in an eerie, hollow museum. Let's talk about the parking situation for a sec. If your car isn't a factory-fresh Tesla or a Ferrari, you will get aggressive side-eye from parking enforcement just for breathing their air. Imagine this. It's midnight, a thick coastal fog rolls over the waterfront, and you smell expensive cedar trees. Then the reality hits when you look down the street and realize every single multi-million-dollar estate on your block is completely dark. Like this, if you've ever felt personally insulted by a Vancouver real estate listing. Subscribe so we can find your escape route to a town where you can actually afford to breathe. Number 2. Rocky View County, Alberta. Rocky View County is the kind of town where pristine, historic cattle ranches and massive 10,000-square-foot custom chateaus exist on the exact same block. Wrapping directly around the edges of Calgary, this booming district of 41,000 people is growing faster than a viral TikTok audio. On the surface, it's all rolling foothills, majestic mountain backdrops, and the kind of quiet luxury that screams, I own a private jet, but wear muddy cowboy boots. Let's break it down. The average household net worth here is a jaw-dropping $3.3 million. Median home prices hover near $950,000, and average rent hits $2,400. Translation: your dollar buys an actual empire out here, and the crime rate is practically non-existent. Sounds like a total dream, right? But here's what nobody tells you. Local political wars over water rights are cutthroat. There is zero public transit, and relentless suburban development means construction noise never stops. As one Redditor brutally put it, it's all fun and games living in your custom estate until a massive summer hailstorm shreds your luxury roof and your insurance deductible costs more than a Honda Civic. So, what's the actual price of admission? You get total tax haven peace, but you spend your days driving forever just to buy groceries. Okay, can we talk about the roads for a sec? Navigating these winding, unlit rural routes during a sudden prairie dust storm feels like driving through a post-apocalyptic movie, except everyone driving next to you is in a $100,000 pickup truck. Imagine this. It's early evening, the sun is setting over the Rockies, and you smell fresh-cut hay. Then reality hits when a massive tractor blocks your lane for 45 minutes and you're late to your private polo match. Hey, at least in Rocky View County, your face doesn't freeze off the second you walk outside. Looking at you, Wood Buffalo. And if you think this prairie paradise is elite, the next town on our list is a coastal enclave so obscurely rich it makes Beverly Hills look like a budget option. Number 1. Wood Buffalo, Alberta. In Wood Buffalo, you can pull in a staggering $182,000 a year as a blue-collar worker and still have enough left over for a brand-new fleet of luxury snowmobiles. Deep in the frozen northern wilderness, This region of 72,000 people is practically neighbors with the Arctic Circle. On the surface, it's all heavy machinery, endless boreal forests, and a kind of isolation that makes you talk to your houseplants. Let's break it down. Your average household income here is unmatched, while the median home price sits at just $360,000. Rent hovers around $1,650, meaning your wallet actually gets to relax. Sounds like a total dream, right? But here's what nobody tells you. Winters routinely plunge below minus 30 degrees Celsius. Property crime is rampant due to a massive transient workforce, and the local economy is dangerously lashed to volatile oil prices. As one Reddito brutally put it, you come up here for a 2-year plan to pay off your debt, and a decade later you're still trapped by the golden handcuffs. So, what's the real trade-off? You get life-changing stacks of cash, but you trade away your sanity to pitch-black winter afternoons. Okay, can we talk about the weather for a sec? It gets so cold your car tires turn into square blocks of ice if you park outside. Picture this. It's midnight, the stunning northern lights are dancing, and you smell crisp pine. Then reality hits when you realize you have to plug your truck into a wall outlet so the engine doesn't crack in half. Be honest, could you survive these brutal northern winters for a 6-figure salary? Comment yes or nope. And if you think Wood Buffalo is wild, the next place swaps the industrial oil fields for a mountain paradise where hidden multimillionaires pretend to be humble farmers.